Facebook. I'm on my Facebook page right now, and it says it's live.
So what is up, everybody? It is Rachel and Jerry Niesman with the Niesman Team at Keller Williams Realty. Welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. It is Tuesday, and we are here with Michelle, as Jerry has already introduced. Hopefully, fingers crossed, everybody's able to watch and ask questions. If not, we have a giant stream of questions that our clients and people have wanted to know. So we'll ask you those on their behalf. Maybe people can text us. It's so strange. We're not the most tech savvy people. We're really good at what we do, though. And so I want to do a quick update on what we're talking about today. We are really glad that Michelle's here with us. We've had a lot of questions regarding homeowners insurance and insurance in general. And so we wanted to talk to an expert at that because our expert is real estate and how much the market's worth and stuff like that. But this isn't our niche in the world. And so we're hoping you can help answer some questions for our clients and our people. I do want to talk about next week's Talk About It Tuesday. It is February 9th. So it's the week before Valentine's Day. And in honor of that, Jerry and I, the irony of this statement, Jerry and I are going to be talking about how to work together as a couple who work together and still stay in love with each other and do all fun things together. And so, oh, I can't. I mean, I can hear her, but
in your earbud.
I don't know. Who knows? I'll figure it out when I turn my computer around. When I go disappear into the world of my computer that's not functioning right. So next week we are going to be talking about ideas and ways. I know that right now more couples are working together than ever before because a lot of people are still home and still working in the world of coronavirus, and it's becoming more common for people to just like, hey, it's going well, let's stay at home. So we're going to give our best 15-year history of tips and tricks for like staying adoringly in love with each other, but functioning really well together. In business, whether you work together on the same business or you're working in a home together or in an office together, but you guys each have your own things. We have some books to suggest, podcasts, tips and tricks. So we're going to be going over all of that on the week of love, which is not this week.
Next week. All right.
And so thank you. Let's get to it. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to be over here, hopefully, fingers crossed, giving you guys some questions. And so thank you for joining us. And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's start. Since the majority of the questions have come from, she did. Yeah, she did that already. We did that already.
How's she been doing it? How'd she get here? Where's she been?
Okay.
What's that?
She said she wants to know how long you've been doing insurance, how'd you get there, all that good stuff.
Oh, okay. So you guys want me to date myself then?
Listen, if I have to, Michelle, you do too. I just said 15 years.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Do you guys have more than an hour? No. No, I actually surprisingly started insurance on the claim side. Early 2000s, I was doing automobile claims, theft claims, total loss claims for Auto Club of Southern California. So that's how I kind of got my foot into insurance right after college. So I've got a little bit of that knowledge, on the claim side. I understand, what our clients go through when it does come time to actually use their insurance. And it's applicable, I think, even on the homeowner side, what I learned on the auto side. But that's really how I got started. And then when I moved to Florida in 2005, I got on the other side of insurance. So I've been doing insurance since 2005.
Okay, cool. All right. And so now we can get into, now that we got that. So like I was saying, since the majority of our questions have come from existing clients of ours who already own homes, we'll start with those questions.
Okay.
So I guess number one, what is the driver for causing, I know a lot of people have texted us, emailed us, called us and said, hey, we're getting all these letters saying that our insurance is going up. What is causing that?
Yeah, so it's been a multitude of things that have actually kind of come together this year that have driven these rates across the board with all our carriers in Florida. So not only the very common one, which is all the IRMA claims that were finalized last September, because they did have 3 years to file those claims. And in addition to just all those Hurricane Irma claims, there's been assignment of benefits abuses that we've seen that have come with those claims. What that is a lot of policy holders were assigning essentially their benefits of their policy over to roofing companies. And then that roofing company may increase the rate of what is being charged for those roofs. The insurance company then is essentially having to negotiate with these roofing companies on these prices, where we see the policyholder get stuck in the middle. And rather than paying out claims for a $40,000 roof, it was very common to see a lot of claims hitting even that six-figure over $100,000, because it includes the increased inflated cost of roofing companies. A lot of times attorneys were also involved in moving some of these claims along. And if the policy holder was essentially, if the claim was in the favor of that policy holder, the insurance companies were now on the hook of paying for the full amount of those attorney's fees as well. So we're seeing a lot of claims that were, rightfully so paid out, but because there may have been some mitigation between a roofing company and an attorney, those claims were then inflated in respect to the costs that were paid out. So that's been driving a lot of the cost. There's also costs that are associated with reinsurance. So believe it or not, insurance companies also have to purchase insurance to back up those claims. And reinsurance really is affected by overall worldwide natural disasters. So it's not just stuff that's going on here in Florida, but also what's transpired throughout the world. We saw fires in California and Colorado, typhoon, I believe, somewhere in Asia. Our own active hurricane season, or seasons, I should say, have all kind of played into those increasing costs with the insurance. And now we're seeing those effects. Everyone as a policy holder, everybody that has a homeowner's policy is really feeling that effect, whether you filed any claims or not.
So it's not even just here in Florida, it's all across the country.
All across the country, all across the world. That also affects our rates here in Florida. Yeah, it affects rates of the reinsurance that the insurance companies have to purchase essentially. And we've noticed even over the past year that some insurance companies haven't been able to even purchase that reinsurance or sustain profitability. So we've seen a few that have essentially gone under, been purchased by other insurance carriers, have had a hard time reaffirming their financial rating. So it's been a multitude of things that have just culminated this year. There's things going on in Tallahassee to help try to curtail some of these issues, like the assignment of benefits abuse, the way that attorneys are paid during claims. Those are all factors that are now affecting each policy holder. So those are things, but we're talking about these things that have transpired already. Unfortunately, we can't go back 3 or 4 years. So now we're having to pay for it now. Hopefully over the next year or two, we can get some of those issues resolved in Tallahassee to help moving forward. We're not going to be in this predicament again. But unfortunately, right now, in order for some of these companies to stay stay in Florida and stay viable, they do have to increase their rates.
Right. Okay. Is there anything that people can do as homeowners to help minimize the additional costs?
I think one very important thing is, and this is just a rule of thumb every year, have that annual discussion with your agent, go over your policy, go over your coverages, go over updates that you've done your home. You'd be surprised, people make updates to their home that perhaps can positively impact that rate that they're getting. And it's also a great opportunity for you to just touch base with your agent, see what's going on in the market. Perhaps they have a carrier that they're very well known in that area to have better rates. So it's just an extra touch point. To avoid those rate increases, unfortunately, it's just across the board. Everyone's getting those rate increases. We're seeing anywhere from 14 to 40%.
Wow.
So to mitigate that, not so much, but as a rule of thumb, having those touch points with your agent, just going over your coverages. There may be some coverages that you may be missing, or maybe there's areas of opportunity that you can lower or reduce coverage that's not necessarily needed for you in particular.
Gotcha. Okay. And then, so that kind of goes into the next one about being able to shop around for insurance. I know we've had some people ask, can they shop around for homeowners insurance? So obviously you can. What's the best way to do that? And what information do they need?
There's no right or wrong way to do it. A lot of times your agent is a great resource to start with. Each agent has a multitude of carriers that they represent if you're talking on the independent side. And then it doesn't hurt to maybe check another agent that may have carriers that your current agent doesn't have. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I always recommend doing it maybe 60 days prior to your renewal. By that time, you should have your renewal offer and you're giving a fair apples to apples comparison. So if you're talking about someone that's calling today, but maybe is locked into last year's rates, it's not really going to be a fair comparison because they are locked into rates prior to all these rate increases. So it's always nice to keep that in mind. And if you're locked into that prior rate, you're better off using that until your renewal comes. So I guess to answer your question is maybe about 60 days before. That way you know what your current carrier is offering you versus what maybe another company can offer you or another agent can.
Okay. So wait until you get the notice, the renewal notice, so that you've got the paperwork sitting there in front of you so you know what it is that you're comparing. Is there any other information that you would need? So say they're going to call, say I'm calling you today, I've got my renewal notice in front of me. Is there any other information that you're going to need to be able to give me an accurate comparison?
Well, I would say your declarations page for your renewal, number one, for a fair comparison of what you are currently have, what you currently have versus what someone else is going to offer you. If you've had a new roof, which is very common these days, if a new roof's been put on, make sure you have that wind mitigation report. So if you've had one done over the last 5 years or so, if you haven't had that wind mitigation or it's outdated because carriers do only take those for 5 years, I will say some carriers will accept them as long as they're on the older form, but for the most part, they're only good for 5 years, just like a 4 point's only good for 1 year. Any reports, any inspections you had done on the home, it's always important that you share those with your agent or the agent that is requoting your homeowner's insurance. There's applicable discounts that could be added to those proposals that they're working up for you.
Okay. Yeah, and for anybody that doesn't know, I actually just recently found this out from another client of mine who was trying to get insurance. They had a new roof put on 2 years ago. And most roofers do not do wind mitigation reports themselves. You actually have to hire a separate inspector after, like a home inspector, after the roof's done. And they come out and do the inspection and give you the wind mitigation form.
Right. The only thing the roofing company will give you is just the final permit, which you can still use with your homeowner's insurance. And if your home was built prior to 2002, then you can get the Florida Building Code credit with that final roof permit. But then there's other credits that are listed on that 4-page report that may be applicable to your insurance. And credits that you're not already getting on your policy that will save you some money. Okay. But going back to like what you need when you're getting a quote, so it's multi-layered here. So if we're talking about renewals, then yes, your existing renewal offer is always a good start in any inspections that you may have. But if we're talking about new purchases, that's a whole other game now. So a lot of carriers have seen an uptick in claims from new purchases, and not necessarily new home purchases, but a new purchase to that individual buyer.
Right.
And because the market is so hot, so tying this back into you guys, because the market's so hot, they're saying that a lot of people are just purchasing homes without, sight unseen. They get into the homes, they're finding that there's issues, and then it's opening themselves up for an insurance claim. So now what they're really pushing for is home inspections prior to even allowing you to bind that coverage. So make sure that if you're in the market and you're looking for a home, that you do get that home inspection in addition to if a wind mitigation or 4-point inspection is applicable.
Right. So we always recommend that everybody gets a home inspection anyways, but for anybody that's watching, just so you know, is a new buyer, if you're looking, it's almost getting to the point where it's pretty much required to get insurance on a lot of carriers now are requiring a home inspection, and they want to see the report, where before it was just, okay, they didn't care whether you got an inspection or not. They didn't, they never asked for it unless it was past a certain age, then they would require the 4-point, but beyond that, they didn't require anything. So now that's
essentially what they're doing is they're underwriting the risk prior to allowing you to bind the coverage. Whereas before, in good faith, they would allow you to bind that coverage, and then they would underwrite the home afterwards. They'd give you a 30 days, maybe do just an exterior inspection versus coming in. Now a lot of them are doing interior and exterior inspections. But a lot of that underwriting process is taking place prior to, and they've really just narrowed down their eligibility guidelines. They're being very picky about the risks that they're taking on. I've gotten carriers that have actually even reduced the number of years that your roof can be. So we've got some carriers that won't let you, won't offer you coverage if your roof is over 10 years old. Well, I've got a lot of clients that say, my roof, it's a tile roof. It should be good for 30, 40 years. I agree. I totally understand and I get that. But these carriers, because they're essentially trying to stay viable and reduce the number of claims that they have, they've really reduced those eligibility guidelines.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that too, where that's the other letter that a lot of our clients are getting is, hey, your roof's 15 years old. You need to put a new roof on. Right. And it's like, wait, but the life expectancy of these roofs, I mean, even the most basic shingle roof, the life expectancy on those is 20 years now. So for them to just come out and say, oh, you need to put a new roof on, it seems crazy.
Right.
So, and we've run into that a lot with new buyers as well. Well, you got houses on the market that were built in 2004 to 2007. Right. And those homes now, a lot of them, before you can close on the home, they're requiring a new roof just because it's 15 to 18 years old.
Right.
So, so it's one of those things. So, people really have to be a little bit more intelligent about budgeting for their home too, in that you need to make sure that you're prepared, that you're setting aside money to be able to put that new roof on.
Right. Yeah, it's making it a lot harder for consumers to shop. It's narrowing the market to just a handful that will take you if you do have that roof that's 15 or 20 years old. And that brings me to another point. There's some pros to reshopping your homeowners insurance. Obviously, cost savings is a big one. Going over the coverages, making sure that you're adequately insured. But, some of the things to caution also is you're subjecting yourself to being re-underwritten. And with these strict eligibility guidelines, there's opportunities where, you may switch carriers and it might go through. You might bind the coverage, you'll cancel your prior, and they might find something that's not agreeable to them. So that's something to always consider also. Yeah, it might be worth $100 or $200 or $500 savings, but you're also subjecting yourself again to getting re-underwritten, and depending on whether it was, done properly prior to, If everything was disclosed and everything was, pre-approved, then great. But, we still have some carriers that will allow you to write that business and will underwrite it after the fact. Well, when they're underwriting after the fact, you also have to just keep in mind that they're doing that. And there might be that possibility that, okay, they might not cancel you, but they might issue either a repair underwriting memo where they give you 30 days now, and that they're making sure that you make a repair to a particular area of your home. That might have a cost associated with that. So there goes the savings that you were getting from switching insurance carriers. So just something to consider. Obviously, there's a lot of pros with reshopping your homeowner's insurance, but the caution would also be that there is also that underwriting component that you have to go through again.
Gotcha. Okay. So if you are shopping, make sure that you disclose everything that needs to be known that would be relevant to that might cause a potential issue moving forward, so that you don't cancel your old policy and then run into that later on down the road. Okay. It's a good point. Babe, was there anything else?
People are texting me. Give me a second because it's not live. So nobody's hearing anything that's happening. So give me a minute.
It is on my Facebook page.
Oh, that's nice.
It's like a 3-minute delay.
You.
Let's make sure we covered. So somebody said, we're curious what's caused the rates to go up. Questions about when the rates go up because of the roof being needed or age of roof, or what does the roof have to do with it in general? And I think we just covered all of that. We
covered that. Yep.
Let me see anything else. Is there anything that Michelle has to offer? Like any questions she runs into a lot that we may not be thinking of from her side? Is there any myths she wants to dispel or anything she wants to share to people, homeowners?
I think one of the biggest myths that we do get, that it hurts you if you switch prior to your renewal. It's not like auto insurance, where auto insurance, you get credit for the amount of tenure that you have with your prior carrier. Homeowners insurance does not work similar to automobile insurance. You can switch at any time. There's no impact to you and for doing so. So if you do find a better rate elsewhere, midterm, I would say take it. Obviously considering the points that I did make, the cautionary points that I made about being re-underwritten, but aside from that, there's no negative impact to you.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Anything else?
I have Apple bubble dots coming. Give me a quick second.
Oh, somebody's typing.
How can Michelle contact?
While we're waiting for this next question to come in, how can people get a hold of you to either shop their rates, or, if they're buying a house from us, we're sending them to you anyways, but how can they get a hold of you if they want to shop and compare?
Yeah, great question. So you can Google us, Great Florida of Gateway, or you can give us a call at 239-237-1550. Or you can visit our website at www.gateway.greatflorida.com.
All right.
What about the Niesman team?
And yeah, if you want to buy a house or sell a house.
Sell a house.
Yeah, more than anything, sell a house.
Buy a house so I can insure it.
Yes. Buy a house so she can insure it, but you need to sell one first, because we need homes to sell. Inventory is crazy low right now. But yeah, so if you're looking to buy or sell, invest in real estate, residential, commercial, doesn't matter. That's another question. Do you do commercial insurance as well? Like for commercial buildings? And okay. Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So buying, selling, investing, call us, the Niesman team. Gary Niesman. 239-201-9583. You can check out our website at realpeople-realestate.com. And of course, here on Facebook, if you're watching this, you're on my Facebook page already.
So I guess just to confirm that we've already touched on it, but is there any benefit or is there any detriment to somebody shopping insurance? Like, there's like, oh, we're not going to go and shop around and like, I'm sure, is there any detriment to shopping around, to calling people and saying, hey, can you give me a quote? And does it like hurt you in any way?
So
like a homeowner.
yeah, I think we covered that already,
Okay,
but basically no, as long as you're honest about when you're getting that quote, if you're telling them any potential issues, if you tell Michelle, no, my roof's in great shape and there's a giant hole in it, then you could be risking not having your coverage canceled on you when they come look at your house. So you gotta provide an accurate picture.
Let's make sure we're comparing apples to apples.
Correct.
Like, every once in a while you'll be like, hey babe, go shop car insurance. And I'll be like, okay, but I don't know anything about deductibles. So it's like, they're like, oh, they'll give me a really inexpensive quote monthly, but if it's not apples to apples, it doesn't make sense. So to make sure that it's clearly spelled out, I'd imagine.
Yeah, so have your declarations page so that you can compare exactly what.
It's always good to get that fair comparison, and assuming that the rate is agreeable, then dive in a little bit deeper and say, okay, what does each coverage entail? Do I need this limit? Do I need to increase that? Do I need to lower it? So start, kind of diving deep into the proposal once you've already established that there's a savings there. But I would say foremost,
how often should somebody analyze that? Is it like on a house by house scenario, year by year scenario?
Well, I would say it's important to have that annual review with your agent every year. Again, it's a touch point for them to, stay top of mind on what coverages you need, going over maybe any changes that you've had. There's no detriment to having your homeowners insurance reviewed every year. And again, especially if you see an increase of more than 5 to 10%, I would say definitely shop around. Anything above that, I think that there's going to be a savings elsewhere. Below that, I think with the way that the market is right now, I think that your current carrier is probably going to be giving you the best rate. But it doesn't hurt you in any way. It's very different than automobile insurance, where you have to build tenure with an auto policy versus on a homeowner. So no, it's actually to your benefit that you have your policy reviewed on an annual basis.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, it didn't take an hour.
Hey, no, I have one final question. Michelle, what kind of insurance do you have available? Like, I'm sure it's not just, I don't know what the question even is, but like, it's not just homeowners, right? What do you have available what can people contact you for?
Yeah, so we pretty much can insure anything, except the only thing that we don't dabble in is health insurance and life insurance. Anything else, homeowners, we've got a multitude of markets. We've got over 30 different markets that we can approach. We've got various carriers on the auto side. We do commercial, anything from small business to workers' compensation.
Awesome.
Anything that can be insured, we pretty much have a market for. We work with brokerage firms also, so we can find placed coverage. The only thing, like I said, we don't really do is insurance.
Perfect.
Health and life. Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like I said, anybody that sees this, if you need insurance, you want to shop your insurance, homeowners, auto, whatever it is,
any
contact
questions
Michelle.
that you have, give me a call. I'm always happy to review your policy as well.
All right. Thanks, Michelle.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.